Most men spend their entire lives trying to solve a riddle that doesn't actually exist. They chase attraction like it's some complex algorithm they just haven't cracked yet. They pump iron, buy watches they can't afford, rehearse pickup lines, study game theory, and read scripts on how to get women. But the reason it never really works long term is simple: they're trying to win by playing the wrong game. They think women want more attention, more compliments, more validation. But what most of them don't understand is that women don't want what's handed to them. They want to feel like they've earned something rare. It's not just love, but respect, not just presence. But a kind of presence that makes them feel like they've stumbled upon a treasure they weren't sure they deserved. That's where the Keanu Rule comes in. Flips the entire equation. Says stop chasing, stop performing, stop over-explaining who you are. Instead, be still, be grounded. Be so certain of who you are that the room adjusts to you, not the other way around. Keanu doesn't need to be loud, doesn't need to convince you of his value. Walks in, and you feel it. And that's what women want. Someone who makes them feel, not someone who tries to make them think. And the feeling they crave more than anything? Emotional tension, the kind that makes them curious if you like them, curious what you're thinking, curious what you're capable of. You don't get that by telling her everything about yourself. You get that by giving just enough, just a sliver, so that she starts leaning in. So she starts trying to figure you out. Not because you're playing games, but because your stillness has become the most intriguing mystery she's ever encountered. Asterisk, what makes the Keanu Rule so potent is the balance it strikes between softness and strength, between approachability and danger. Most men lean too far in one direction. They're either overly aggressive, trying to dominate every conversation and prove their masculinity. They're too passive, afraid to assert themselves, hoping to win her over with niceness. Neither of those extremes works not in the long run. What makes a woman obsessed isn't the loudest guy in the room. It's the one she can't quite read. The one whose energy unsettles her just enough to make her want to understand it. That's the tension that drives desire. Keanu doesn't speak much, but when he does, you listen. He doesn't show off, but when he moves, there's power in every step. That contrasts the ability to be gentle and yet carry an edge is what women remember. It's what makes them think about you long after you're gone. You don't have to tell her you're strong. Your silence does it for you. You don't have to dominate the space. Your calm presence already does. And the beauty of this energy is that it's not fake. It's not about putting on a persona. It's about stripping away all the neediness and performance, till what's left is someone completely at ease in his own skin. That kind of man is rare. And what's rare is always valuable. So when she talks, you don't interrupt. You listen not passively, but with full attention. When she flirts, you don't bite immediately. You meet her energy with calm curiosity. You don't overexpress, you don't try too hard, and you don't prove anything. You simply exist in a space that feels unshakable. And because she can't shake it, she keeps coming back, trying to figure out how someone can be so quiet, yet so unforgettable. Asterisk, most men have been conditioned to think the more they give, the more they'll be valued. It's more attention, more compliments, more availability. But what they don't realize is that every time they give without her earning it, they make their presence cheaper. It's like handing out diamonds on the street. People stop seeing them as valuable. The real power is in restraint. Your attention feel earned. In giving just enough to spark desire, but never so much that she feels entitled to it. That's the essence of the Keanu Rule. You don't flutter with validation. You hold it like it's sacred. And when you finally give it, it hits like thunder, because it came from a man who doesn't offer himself to just anyone. That's what makes women obsess. Not the guy who's always texting, always checking in, always trying to please. They forget those men. But they never forget the one who made them work for a single word, who made them feel like every compliment meant something, like every glance carried weight. When you operate from this space, you don't chase her when she pulls away. You let her go, not with bitterness or ego, but with calm. And that calmness is a disruption to her expectations. She's used to men reacting. But when you don't, when you stay grounded, she starts to spiral. She rethinks. She leans back in, because now you've become the one she wants to impress. Not because you asked her to, but because your silence demanded it. And that reversal, that shift in who's pursuing who, that's where real power lies. When your energy becomes a mirror, and she starts to feel the absence of it, that's when she starts craving it. That's when obsession begins, not with noise, but with controlled stillness. Asterisk women are emotional beings by design, fluid, intuitive, expressive. Their energy moves in waves, sometimes peaceful, sometimes chaotic. And most men, untrained in emotional stillness, get tossed around by those waves. They panic when she pulls away. They over-explain when she questions them. They react to every emotional shift like it's life or death. But a man who embodies the Keanu Rule doesn't flinch. He doesn't fight the wave, he becomes the shore. He doesn't resist her emotions. He allows them, contains them, holds space for them without losing himself. That's what creates the feeling of safety. Not because he's soft, but because he's solid. When she tests him, he doesn't push back, smiles. When she tries to provoke a reaction, he breathes. He knows that emotional control is not about bottling things up. It's about knowing when to speak and when silence says more. This calmness becomes addictive because she starts to realize something rare. This man cannot be broken by mood, swings, or emotional games. He's not here to be toyed with. He's not here to fix her. What is here to hold his ground and invite her into his peace? And that's when her feminine energy begins to melt. Because now she doesn't have to lead. Emotionally, she can rest. She can surrender to something greater than the chaos inside her. And she does this not because he asked, but because his presence demanded it. In a world full of men who are either emotionally absent or emotionally chaotic, she finally meets the one thing she's never had: emotional gravity. That gravity doesn't pull her in by force, it pulls her in by stillness. It grounds her without control. And that grounding becomes the very thing she can't live without. Not because she's weak, but because she finally feels safe. Asterisk, the men women chase aren't always the richest, the best looking, or the most talkative. They're the ones who move through life with composure. They're the ones who don't flinch when tested, who don't argue when provoked, who don't try to prove their worth. And that's where the Keanu Rule finishes its full circle effect by showing that real masculine power isn't about doing more. It's about doing less with more intention. You don't try to win her. You don't beg for her attention or compete. With the noise of other men, you become the man who doesn't need her. And in that space, she starts needing you. Because you've now created an energy so rare, it terrifies her. She can't figure out why you're not trying to impress her. She can't manipulate your emotions. She can't lead the rhythm of your presence. And that imbalance awakens something primal in her, the need to earn your respect, to impress you, to be seen by you in a way that actually matters. When you withhold praise, she leans in. When you stay calm through her chaos, she calms down. 2, when you don't react, she starts questioning herself. It's not in a negative way, but in a deeply reflective one. That's how your stillness changes her. She stops acting like the girl who's always in control and begins showing up as the woman who's ready to deserve the man she wants. And the beauty of this transformation is that it happens not because you demanded it, but because your energy required it. You didn't raise your voice. You didn't play games. You simply embodied such a rare form of masculine restraint that it forced her to rise to meet it. That's what the Keanu Rule does. It doesn't chase love. It earns respect. And from that, obsession naturally grows.